everyone. This week we're going to be talking about 4 tips to get the most out of your smartphone product photography. Let's get started. First thing, use the Lightroom app on your phone. It's available on both iPhone and Android. It's perfectly free, and you can actually download it and use the camera right inside the Lightroom app to take your photos. This has solved a lot of problems that iPhone users have had with weird abnormalities happening with their photos with the camera that comes with the phone. So not only that, but the Lightroom app also allows you to change the file format that you take your photos with. You can change it into something called DNG, and what that is a raw file format that captures a wide range of data when it takes a photo, so that when you edit your photos afterwards, it can pull in data from the actual shot as opposed to just manipulating the pixels that exist within the image. So it helps retain really great image quality and allows you to get a lot more out of your edits. So I highly recommend downloading the Lightroom app for your phone because you can take photos with it right within the app. You can use that DNG file format and you can edit your photos with that same program as well afterwards. And speaking of editing your photos, that is my second tip for you today. Definitely edit these photos. This goes with any photo you're taking of your products, but especially if you're using your smartphone, because smartphones can be a little bit limited in the wide range of tones that they can capture and in kind of capturing those subtle nuances in tones and things like that. So editing makes a really big difference. I do recommend using the Lightroom app for editing. Snapseed is another great app. Both of those apps include a color embedded profile with your photos, which is really important to make sure that your colors remain true across different website platforms. So those two are great, the Lightroom app and Snapseed. Lightroom is great because if you're using the camera within the app, like I already talked about, then your photos are already there and it's really easy to give them a quick edit. Bonus, if you actually subscribe to Adobe Photography Plan, then you have Lightroom on your computer as well, and you can sync between those two programs. So the app on your phone and the desktop Lightroom program, you can have the photos shared. So if you take photos with your phone with the Lightroom app and they're in your Lightroom app, and then you get on your computer and you go into your Lightroom program on your computer, those photos will actually be there, which is a really awesome feature. So absolutely use that. I recommend using the crop and resize with that. Do a little bit of an adjustment on the exposure and highlights and shadows in whites and blacks. And if you need to make any adjustments to the color balance, do that. And really, those are the main tools that you'll need to use within that editing program. Tip number 3, have great lighting. It is never more important to have good lighting than it is with smartphone photography. If your light isn't bright enough, then your camera on your phone is going to have to compensate for that. And when it compensates, it'll do a couple of different things. One, it'll either increase something called the ISO, which is the sensor's sensitivity to light. When that increases, images tend to get really noisy. Digital noise will occur. There's a lot of weird pixelation, distortions happening. It looks, kind of grainy and just looks really low quality. So you don't want that. Another thing that will happen is the shutter speed will get lowered. And that can cause something called motion blur, which is when your hand moves ever so slightly, or, just even from you just breathing, it'll capture really subtle motion blur, which won't make your image look very good. It won't make it look crisp, and it won't make it look really professional. So you absolutely need to make sure that you have really great light for your product photos when you're using your smartphone. Last but definitely not least is keep an eye out for something called lens distortion. This tends to happen a lot with not just smartphones, also lenses on your DSLR cameras, but with smartphones especially, it sometimes tends to make your products look a little bit distorted, as if the photo was stretched a certain way and, maybe you have a mug and it looks wider at the top than it does at the bottom, which it shouldn't, or something like that. So that tends to happen when you get maybe a little bit too close to your product, or if you're photographing at a bit of a strange angle. So try a couple different things. You can try rotating your phone so that you're capturing it in landscape mode, see if that helps. You could switch it and see if it helps more in portrait mode. That is another thing that might help out. Additionally, that Lightroom app that I've been talking about, it actually has a feature in it where you can correct the lens distortion, and it will automatically pick up the phone model that you have and make adjustments that typically occur with that particular lens in your camera. And it's a really, really great and quick feature to use to help correct some of those lens distortions that are happening. So be aware that those issues exist and that they could happen. Know how to fix them using that Lightroom app, and try not to shoot your products with your phone too close to your products because that could cause some distortion. So just be aware of those issues and you'll be just fine. If you have any questions about what we've talked about today, go ahead and drop them in the comments. I always love hearing from you folks about how you like the video. And are you using a smartphone? Do any of these tips help you? Have you used the Lightroom app before? Do you love it like I do? Let me know below. Also, go ahead and grab my free product photography quality checklist if you haven't yet. It's a great free resource that you can download right away, and you can just go through it as you're taking your product photos and make sure that you're checking off all of the important qualities that your product photo should have before you upload it, so you know that you're going to be uploading a great image. So go ahead and grab that. And if you haven't yet, hit subscribe to make sure that you get notified of our new videos every Tuesday. And I will see you next week.